Haney and Brian Norman Jr.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people have mixed emotions with this fight.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
a lot, like a lot.
I
I
know.
hear different from
Everybody hear
everybody.
different shit, right? Everybody hear different things. I'm gonna say Devin Haney, but like I said, don't listen to me because I'm always wrong, right? I would say Devin. I actually picked Devin to beat Ryan when they fought, and my wife went against me. She picked Ryan. She actually bet on Ryan and she won money, but I thought Devin was gonna beat Ryan. But with this, oh man, I would say Devin, but if Brian catch him, because they were saying that Brian Norman's feet isn't that good. That's the whole thing they're saying. They were trying to compare him to me, saying his feet isn't that good. But I don't think Brian Norman has bad feet at the same time. Of course, Devin has real fast feet. He can move around, but I don't think Brian Norman's feet is slow at the same time too. I think he could catch up to him. So um I still say Devin, but if Brian beat him, I won't be surprised.
Why is that?
Just because he's bigger, he's stronger, and he has feet also. Devin is more experienced, but it's hard to go against Devin, bro, because like you got to like Devin, he has a resume. Like Brian Norman Jr. is good. He's beating people and stuff, but like he doesn't have a resume like Devin. It does. Sometimes resumes do matter. The quality of the fighter. Devin does have a good resume. We can kind of say we want about him, but he does have a good resume. Now he's going up, but Brian's been just knocking people out. He's been looking good. So, um, it I think it all depends on fight night and like the lead up to the fight and all that type of stuff too. Like the mental games they playing and just all that stuff, and whoever really believes in himself to the fullest. Now we don't know if I don't know. We don't know if Devin is really shell shocked, from the Ryan fight because in Ramirez fight he just, he just kind of ran around the ring. Maybe he might do that with Brian Norman, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think he could do it with Ramirez, but I don't think he gonna be able to do that with Brian Norman. So, um, but even with all that said, I'm gonna still pick Devin. But don't listen to me. I'm just that's just my prediction.
No. I hear you on that. I hear you on that. He's Brian Norman's father, senior. He believes that Devin has kind of had the upper hand throughout his matchmaking, throughout his career, being the
Right,
longer guy, taller guy that kind of weighs more than the other opponent. Like getting a lot of guys that are smaller. When he
right,
came down to 140 pounds, a lot of people said that the matchmaking with just with you alone, looking at the guys who had the titles, you were kind of the guy that was a little shorter than some of the other guys, and they looked at that as a big advantage point. What would you
right.
say? Do you feel like seniors right in that situation as far as having that upper hand? Because you are saying resume, but you have to kind of put everything in factor as well because this is boxing.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is true. I'm saying I think Senior is right about that. Yeah, but that's boxing. They pick who don't try to pick and choose their fights, right? I mean, that's kind of what you do in boxing. They do so. But really, they doing the same thing with Brian Norman. He thinks he's gonna do the same thing with him. Did Turkey order this fight, or did Devin say they want this fight?
Turkey.
All right. Well, if Turkey made it, then that does change things because Turkey made it. Devin ain't maybe they wanted or didn't want it, but if Turkey making them take it, then that is a little different. Because before that, you could just pick and choose. You could pick and choose who you want. So he has. I'm not gonna lie. With Turkey making the fight, yeah, Brian Norman Senior does have a point.
Yeah, it's a big point, because you don't know who the A side in this fight is. Even though you got Turkey that's saying, "Hey, listen, we want to see Devin Haney and David Benavidez in February," but sometimes that's just talk. These guys they're coming into boxing, they're excited, right?
Right.
So you see that's a big point. And you do see that, when resumes a lot, everybody used to talk about Terrence Crawford resume back in the day, remember? Before he fought Spence,
Yeah.
wasn't much. And look at him now. I mean, could this be I don't know, do you feel like Devin is the A side in this fight as far leading up to it, as far as Vegas is concerned?
As far as Vegas is concerned, I don't know. I think he's the A side just because he is more popular. You know, you got to give that to him. He's the bigger name. He's more popular, so you can say he's the A side because of that. But on the eyes on Vegas, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they feel about this fight. You know, I have to talk to K and see what they say too. I'm not gonna lie. K, every time I talk to him about a fight, he always right, bro. I'm not he know boxing like the shit. The back of his hand, bro. He really know
So
boxing
what
a
does he
lot.
think about that fight?
That's what I'm saying. I'll ask him. I'll have to ask him about it, you know. Cause he told me he was like with the Canelo Crawford. For me, I went Canelo. I was like, man, Canelo too big. This, you know, he was like, bro, the ring. He told me the ring was gonna be bigger. He was like, and it's a different style. I said, what about? I kind of compared it to another boxer that Canelo fought with. Damn, what's the dude out here? The Caleb Plant. So you know, Caleb Plant was a good boxer and he was bigger. He was like, man, it's a different style, you know, and he was like, man, Crawford gonna win. I was like, damn, for real, you think so? And shit, everything he said kind of came true. And every time he picks a fight, it comes true. So I'll have to ask him about the Devin and Brian Hubbard fight and see what he says about that.
Yeah, yeah. As far as I mean, I know when we talked about the Haney fight, you know, you did talk about the size and stuff like that, right? But in the same time, do you feel like it was more of a skill factor thing, or do you feel like the size played a bigger factor than what you thought when you fought Haney? Because that kind of will mean a lot in this fight.
Nah, bro, I won't even say excuses stuff like that. It was definitely for sure the skills, cause I didn't. Well, me mentally I was off, but like for sure I didn't think that Devin was gonna be as good as he was. I'm not gonna lie, he was bigger. I think the size that'll play more mentally, you know, cause he came in the ring, he looked like a bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? Like damn, like I know I saw Devin a bunch of times before. Like Devin was skinny, Devin was small, and then he came in the ring and fight me. He looked way bigger than me, and he came up from 135 to fight me, and I was supposed to be the bigger guy, and he was bigger than me, you know. And then he had it wasn't like he was just bigger and fat. He was bigger and he was like buff and bulky, you know, like his chest was big, his abs was poking out, you know. So I think that played a factor mentally, but skill wise, Devin is still he's still good though. We can't. I think a lot of people try to like shit on him and say he's not good skill wise because he's not their favorite person. He'll run around a lot, but skill wise, not. Devin was he still was good for sure.
And you feel like that could be that's the main factor in this fight
Yeah,
is the
and like I said,
skills.
I feel like the skills should be better than Brian Norman's. I think in this fight, he's not gonna have the size advantage, you know, because he is going to 147 and they're not gonna play that. I don't think Turkey gonna let that happen. They're not gonna play that stuff. So it'll have to be the skills for him to prevail in this fight.